Hey, you geeks! Shadow and Bone was a lovely jaunt. It's been a while since I've read a first-person perspective novel, and it took a hot moment to reacquaint myself with that limited POV. Bardugo uses this style to its fullest potential, telling the first-hand story of a young woman's fairy tale dream becoming her worst nightmare. But this time, it's in Russia.
In Russia, party always finds you.
It's by far the perkiest Russian literature I've ever read. So it's only dark and depressing 80% of the time. The other 20% is a clever mix of magic school and Cinderella tropes, with, of course, the dreaded love triangle of a woman caught between the light and the dark. That trope is only overdone because it's so gosh darn effective and got me every time when I was in this book's target audience. Now that I'm older, I can appreciate it for what it is, but still roll my eyes. Is that maturity? Who knows? Now for my spoilerific breakdown of characters, world building, magic, and plot. Alina. She's a suitably sassy YA protagonist, not helpless, just hopelessly outclassed. She starts out as the girl next door, smitten with the clueless hunk. Of course, she's not thrilled to find out that she's destined to save Radka and all that, but I like that her desire to live an ordinary life grows along with her. Right when I had just enough of Alina sulking and feeling sorry for herself, Bardugo reveals the truth. Alina had denied her magic for a childish reason, to stay with her best friend rather than be whisked away to a palace. Then Alina realizes she was being childish, accepts her power, and grows as a person. In the middle of a book! Swept up in the fairy tale moment, Alina begins to fall for the Darkling and the seductive power he represents. Then the spell breaks at midnight. Thrust back into reality, Alina has to learn what is her power and what is the Darkling's lies. Her arc ends with her claiming the stag for herself through an act of mercy, but all the rest she's still sorting out. Mal. He rests on the line between friendzone material and jerk-face dreamboat. If it weren't for his early obliviousness to Alina's love for him, he'd almost be too perfect. I never thought we'd see him after the beginning. Then the Darkling speaks of hunting a stag.
No beast alive stands a chance against you. And no girl for that matter.
Of course, Mal swoops in for the third act. First to play the jealous lover, but we don't have to suffer the relationship drama for too long, since he immediately drops everything to help Alina. Bardugo does manage to convey the fine line of, I don't want you dead, but I'm still mad at you, for a few chapters.
Now tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to your prince that same hour, or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
And no one had to get shoved off a hillside. Mal also recognizes that he took Alina for granted and strives to make up for it. I'm glad when everything else failed, he decided not to kill her, and she decided again and again that she could not let him die. Now that they've survived extreme trauma together in love, I wonder how they'll fail in the mundane trauma of life. Genya. After you read an obscene number of books about young princesses, you begin to notice a type. The best friend lady's maid and occasional fairy godmother. Worker of fabulous makeovers.
Now, you look like your mother 20 years ago with fashion sense.
Genya is a good twist on that. A maid but not a maid. A friend but not a friend. She helps Alina look better, but it does not last. Her tryst with the king makes her vulnerable, like Alina is vulnerable to the Darkling. Jenya's complexity lends to the characterization of others who in the end oppose Alina, such as Ivan and David. They all want to belong, and they're all willing to do whatever it takes to fit in. A much more subtle way to characterize antagonists than being sorted into Slytherin. Bardugo seems to have a special talent for writing characters like this. Her work humanizing Fjerdan witch hunters was very nice. The Apparat. This man is just too much. Everything about him is just over the top. From the narrator's voice to how he looks to how he smells. I'm pretty sure Dmitry Karamazov's High Inquisitor was more subtle.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
That joke never gets old, especially when it's unexpected. Alina views him as an enemy, but I think he honestly believes himself to be her friend. Just with a friend like him, who needs enemies? The Darkling. I gotta hand it to Bardugo, making the obvious villain a secret villain. Leave it to simple country folk to see what the sophisticated are too educated to notice.
Evil is evil, strike 'em all.
She also subverts the Beauty and the Beast setup we are so used to, where the Beast isn't bad, just misunderstood, and true beauty is saving the man from the monster inside him. Not here. Bardugo reminds us that there can be nothing blacker than the darkness of a man's heart. Sure, he says he's not the villain, but he's lived thousands of years, openly detests human connections, and has an all-consuming desire for power. So he's definitely the villain, but...
Oh no, he's hot!
I don't care how young he looks. Even a 120-year-old man has no business seducing a teenager. And it was seduction, not a courtship. He gave her everything he thought she wanted on the condition that she give herself to him freely. And that is truly evil. World building. For a YA novel, the world building is pretty good. Class struggles, court intrigue, and interpersonal drama all blending together believably. Alina stopping for Mass and the Russian equivalent of Mardi Gras were nice touches. But there are gaps, which stand in stark contrast to those excellent details. Who or what are they praying to at Mass? How can a kingdom always at war?
The Great Pie War, to be exact.
Have such poorly trained soldiers. Alina never went through basic training. In the first scene, she falls behind from her unit and runs into males. Cute scene, but a gap in logic. Also, who is running the army? The king is an idiot, it's not the Darkling, and it's not the Apparat. So shouldn't there be a general somewhere, or more likely a harried company clerk who, if not powerful, is at least mildly competent?
Okay, I heard you, Bellwether. Just take care of it.
Someone the Darkling could have offed in his coup d'etat to show just how merciful he was. Magic system. Grisha powers perfectly underline this novel's themes. Alina denying herself and her powers makes her sickly, showing her inner struggle on the outside. When she accepts them and herself, she becomes beautiful. She finally fits in with the Grisha.
This is my only fear, that we become beautiful people.
Only to have it all taken away. Again, she is thrust into a daunting position between who she is and what she could become. Alina's relationship with her powers perfectly displays one of my favorite motivational quotes growing up. Bardugo hides the truth about Grisha powers both in the fairy tales of the common and the education of the elites. Since the darkness is apparently a substance, the small science is definitely more fancy than science. Darkness is scientifically not a thing, but rather its absence. The Darkling's powers are straight from a child's bedtime story.
Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no such thing as the boogeyman.
Yet, I'm satisfied that his powers remain bound to a sort of logic. If the power of dark can split a man in two, then it follows the power of light can do likewise. Leaning into fairy tale powers, Bardugo plays further with class and power dichotomies. The Darkling dismisses the fairy stories about the stag as common, but the mercy cherished by peasants like Alina allows her the power to seize her own destiny. Plot. I hate love triangles, and yet I don't mind its use in this book. Don't mind isn't exactly like, but it's better than hatred. I hate love triangles because I hate characters spending pages and pages agonizing between two love interests, yet the choice would have no meaningful impact on the plot.
The Golden Dragon Dance? But who am I gonna ask? Suki or Princess Yue?
Sure, Bella thinks that the choice between Edward and Jacob is huge, but both are domineering men who use their magical powers to protect her. Same with Katniss, Gale, and Peeta. No matter who she chose, Katniss would always be the Mockingjay. Here, Alina finds herself torn between two worlds, the magnificent life of a Grisha and the humble life of a peasant. Her arc focuses on this choice, and her choice between the two men is an important part, but not the only consideration. Focusing on what role Alina wants to become gives rise to drama much deeper than basic relationship drama, which I hate.
So not the drama. So in denial.
It also contributes to the finale. If Alina hadn't chosen Mal over the Darkling wouldn't have been so petty as to order her to kill him.
Am I unmerciful?
That order, of course, epically backfired. Bardugo also does a fabulous Darkest Hour. Things go from bad to worse to even worse. Yet, when all hope seems lost, there is still something worth fighting for. Mal and Alina's freedom. I wish Alina had found her strength before the Darkling destroyed a town, but better late than never. We end the book with Alina choosing to run away from power, but the collar ties her to the Darkling and the fate of Ravka. She is still torn between two worlds, but now she knows what side she's on, and that is an excellent way to start a trilogy. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.